This is a true European awakening. We must grow a European backbone of strategic enablers in space, intelligence, and deep strike capabilities.
Rather than pretending that we can simply replace all US capabilities, we should focus on diversifying and decreasing some dependencies. We should deliver generational investments that moves us from overdependence to interdependence.
This idea that U.S. foreign policy is, and some of our more basic and foundational values-based commitments seem to be enacted based on the partisanship of whoever is elected.
The European community is puzzled about the latest U.S. policies as the long-standing ties are facing challenges from territorial and economic coercions.
With a Europe that has the means to defend itself and the will to survive, we should be proud of what we achieved together in the last century. But now we must confront and embrace the opportunities of a new one, because yesterday is over.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has taken a hardline stance on Venezuela, is now leading a delegation to the Munich Security Conference. This is a region already strained by years of Ukraine crisis and more recently renewed tensions sparked by U.S. remarks on Greenland. Now the question remains, will the Transatlantic alliance still a reliable guarantor for European security? Security concerns dominate the agenda at the Munich Security Conference, reflecting European countries' urgent demand for reassurance and stability. To the east, Washington's pause in weapons deliveries to Ukraine has raised questions about whether the United States remains fully committed to guaranteeing Europe's security, even as efforts to advance Russia-Ukraine negotiations show little progress. Meanwhile, in Greenland, the self-governing territory of Denmark, U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested the United States could seek control of the island through negotiation or other means in pursuit of greater Arctic influence. He has also pledged to expand the U.S. military presence there, despite Denmark being a NATO ally. Russia has warned it would take what it calls adequate countermeasures if Greenland were further militarized.
European countries have to fight with a very big security risk on the two lines. Because on the issue of Ukraine, they have to rely on the so-called security guarantee or support from the United States in the frame of NATO. But at the same time, the Greenland issue means that the NATO itself is facing a very, very big challenge.
European leaders took the stage in Munich to try to revive trust with the U.S.
Being a part of NATO is not only Europe's competitive advantage, it's also the United States' competitive advantage.
But shifting U.S. policies reflects the Trump administration's readjustments to its priorities.
If America's strength is really in decline, it cannot afford to police the whole world. So therefore, it will come into an era of retrenchment to Western Hemisphere as first priority, but it will also stay in the Indo-Pacific, because the United States itself is an Indo-Pacific nation, and Indo-Pacific is basically the center of gravity in terms of economic development.
Both the White House National Security Strategy and the Pentagon's National Defense Strategy suggest that the United States is shifting focus to the Western Hemisphere, as described a long-neglected backyard. But critics say that this pivot also risks sidelining broader responsibility for global stability. The 2026 Munich Security Report warns that recent U.S. funding cuts could prove devastating for several UN agencies, which relied on the United States for between 14 and 46% of their 2024 budgets. Despite voicing skepticism toward the United Nations, President Trump has promoted a new initiative known as the Board of Peace. Initially focused on resolving the Gaza conflict, the proposal has since expanded to encompass broader global disputes. The initiative has drawn criticism over its reported $1 billion membership fee and the extensive executive authority it would grant the U.S. president, including veto powers. Several European countries, including Germany, the United Kingdom, and Ukraine, have publicly declined to participate.
So we need a discussion about this. This is necessary, how to get a better version of the United Nations, but it should be in diplomacy and in discussion, and not by having these unilateral decisions by Trump.
As Europe grapples with systematic instability fueled by the U.S. policies, leaders and participants at the Munich Security Conference are calling for a return to multilateralism and the revitalization of the rules-based international order.